Say hello to everybody.
And wait for it. There we are.
All right, here we go. Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt here with Alyx King on this Thursday, September the 12th, 2019. It is 4 p.m. in New York. That's 1 p.m. Los Angeles time. And that means it's 9 p.m. in London, 5 a.m. in Tokyo, 6 a.m. in Sydney, Australia. But wherever you are in the world, thank you for joining us for another episode of LOA Today, your daily dose of happy. The only unhappy thing is that Joel isn't with us yet because we haven't been able to iron out the schedule, but that will happen. I can't even tell you what time of day we will be doing the show, but once we know, you will know. We will let you know because that's the only thing we can do at this point.
Yes.
The one thing I do know, Alyx, is I want to make sure that he's back. We just don't know when.
Yes.
Right?
Well, as long as everyone is subscribed, they will be notified whenever we're live. So we will.
Well, that's just it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the live streamers, they need to know, right?
I mean, they need to know. They need to know.
You have a definite need to know going on there. So
yeah.
Good stuff. But today is a day here in the northeastern part of the country that's covered with clouds, and we were talking about that before the program. And while we are all people who are able to choose how we're going to respond to anything that happens in our lives, we also have tendencies to kind of, be influenced by what happens around us, what happens with weather. And I think we both found today that the weather was kind of influencing us not in the best possible way.
Yeah.
So it leads to the topic you came up with, and it's a good topic. All right. Well, negativity, not feeling good. How do we attract it, and how do we get rid of it? And
yes.
It's a good reminder. A good thing to remind ourselves about is how do we deal with this stuff? Because life happens. Isn't that
facts?
So? Life.
Facts.
And it just keeps right on going. We might say, stop the world, I want to get off. But you know what? It just keeps going anyway.
It doesn't. It doesn't stop. No. Because it's round and not flat. You can't get off.
Can you imagine if it was square?
Listen, you're going to start a whole new situation.
I mean, astrology would go nuts.
Right? But did you think about this, though? It's just, team too much.
I guess I want to start off the conversation by pointing out that negativity is actually a value judgment. So we always are the ones who decide what's negative and what's positive. That's why we often talk about in terms of what do we prefer, what don't we prefer, what do we like, what don't we like, just so we can keep it as more of an objective conversation, because there really is there's nothing that's objectively negative from everyone's perspective. I mean, from a lot of people's perspective, but not from everybody's.
That's true.
We often describe those other people as crazy.
Yeah.
But still, their perspective is just as legitimate as ours. So.
Oh yeah.
So when we're saying negativity, what we're really saying is stuff we don't like, stuff we don't prefer. So if we don't prefer the clouds, well, we get to decide how we're going to respond to that. And it's kind of like a good reminder every single time that we have something like this happen. It's an opportunity. It's an opportunity to practice. Okay, well, I can let the clouds bring me down, or you know what? I could decide not to be brought down by the clouds. Of course, this morning I decided to go take a nap. But
Same.
You did the same thing? Yeah.
Well, I attempted to take a nap.
Well, yes. Your perspective is a little different from mine, I have to say.
Right. I mean, but the clouds did give me the same feeling. I was like, clouds plus blackout curtains. It's still nighttime in my bedroom, which means I'm going to bed. My biological clock, though, was like, nah, you're up. We're up.
Now, where were the dogs standing on this? Were they in favor of being asleep or in favor of being up?
They were definitely in favor of being unconscious. They were just not. They were like, what? No. Okay. I was like, anybody want to go potty? Nothing. Crickets. Tumbleweeds.
Tumbleweeds. I love it. Okay. All right. Well, I guess I have to remember that they have their choices too.
They do.
They are beings. They are creators.
As a matter of fact, they definitely said negative.
No thanks.
No.
No.
I was like, anybody got to go to potty? Negative.
Well, at least they gave you an answer. Sometimes pets don't even answer. Like, well, who do you think you're waking up at this hour?
You know who don't answer? Cats.
Well, actually, our cats, they'll answer just fine. The problem isn't with them answering. The problem is with them coming at 4 a.m. and saying, "Why aren't you up?"
Right.
It's not 6. Go back to bed. Lay down. Lay down.
See, my dogs can tell time, so it's totally fine.
Louise had a great cat that could do that.
Mm-hmm.
The cat that she had, who died about 6 months before Louise and I met, his name was Shadow.
Mm-hmm.
And he was an alarm cat.
Mm-hmm.
She could literally tell him what time she wanted to wake up, a different time each day, and he would wake her at that time.
Sweet.
I mean, I've never heard of a cat that could tell time. I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, all animals have a sense of time.
Yeah, but
it's just, do they want to share it with you is the question.
but to read clocks, that's pretty good.
I don't know. My dogs know. Like yesterday, I was like, "Why are you staring at the door?" And then I looked at the clock and realized it's 8 p.m. It's time for mom to come home. Yeah.
Yeah.
But he was like,
Intent.
I was like, yeah, intent. I was like, "What time is it?" Oh, sorry, my bad.
Yeah. I think it's more than the ability to read time, though, because like when we took the trip to the Cape.
Yeah.
And when we came home, now when we go away, we don't always come back at the same time. We come back and whatever the time is that we arrive.
Yeah, whenever. Yeah.
And that day, I think it was maybe like 5:30 or something like that we got home.
Mm-hmm.
And Joy was just waiting for us. He was just right outside. I mean, you could just see him following the car as it came in and getting all excited and so forth. Like, yep, I've been waiting for you. Where have you been?
It's like I smelt you a mile away. What took you so long?
I also believe that I can send messages to them mentally.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So that when we're within a few miles of home, I can tell them, we're almost home. Yep, yeah. We'll be there in just a few minutes. And inevitably, if I do that, Harmony, who's almost always inside, as soon as we open the door, she's running out the door. She's ready for me.
Yeah.
So she was waiting for it.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise, she was sitting by the door for the last 5 hours. It's one of the other.
All you need is a nanny cam. You'll find out the answer.
Yeah, a nanny cam, right. I never thought of that.
Which they'll probably just knock off the shelf. So.
No, actually, she wouldn't. Well, it depends. If there was a video of us, she might try to to look at the video of us. But other than that,
well, they would know there was a video. Well, I don't know. Can animals hear the nanny cam? Because I'm sure there's like mechanisms inside the little teddy bear thing going on.
Probably.
Yeah.
I've never investigated. I don't know.
Neither have I.
Yeah. But all I know is that if most of the time, if there's something on the television, they'll ignore it unless it's something that they're really interested in from a predatorial perspective. Then all of a sudden they perk up their ears. But other than that, they just ignore it. So they are capable of, listening to devices and with them. It's just most of the time they don't want to.
Oh, man.
Oh, Jeffrey says it's a great topic. First of all, thank you once again, Jeffrey, for joining us. Jeffrey is like the most loyal fan in the world.
I know. I love loyalty. I love loyalty.
Everything. And he says, not only is it a great topic, but first thing he puts out is list of appreciation. And he's right. Because I mean, if you really want to take control of your response, you got to start there.
Yeah.
With appreciation, you're going to get yourself into a good feeling place. And now you can really choose whatever response you want.
But what if you're just having one of those days where you just want to be mad? You just want to be in your feelings. Yeah.
That's a choice. That's a legitimate choice.
It's like I will wake up and be like, I am cranky today. And that is my setting for the rest of the day. That's it.
You just have to be willing to put up with what comes along with that. I mean, we're still creating at all times. So we're creating more stuff to be cranky about. So you have to be ready for that. And if you're willing to accept that, then go for it. Live life to the hilt.
I'm telling my mom, I'm like, I'm cranky and Walt told me to.
No, I didn't tell you
You're getting a phone call.
I told you you were able to. I didn't tell you you should.
Same thing.
No, it's not.
It's not. Thing at all. That's not how I heard it. Run the tape back. That's not how I heard it.
Listeners who would like to argue with us can send emails too.
Or do like Jeffrey and argue with us in the comments.
Well, he doesn't argue. He just points out what's really going on. He says, "I love that you're giving each other the opportunities to feel better."
That's true. We are cheering each other up, which
We
is
are.
it's just what we do with our daily dose of happy. That's why we're
That's
here.
how you get happy. Of
Hello.
course.
From 4 to 5 every day.
There it is.
Except for Saturday and Sunday because we need a nap.
Actually, I don't do any napping on the weekend. It's only when I'm in the middle of the week that I rarely actually take a nap. I don't do that very often because I don't do naps well.
Mm.
Especially, I mean, this
Do
morning
you
was.
feel like they're a tease?
No, it's not so much that they're a tease; it's that they exhaust me.
Mm.
Most often, I almost never take a nap in the morning. It was really unusual for me to go right back to bed after getting up. That was very, very unusual. Most often, and it's not that common, when I do find myself needing a nap, it's like 3 o'clock in the afternoon and I've just run out of energy. And when I do that, when I wake up, I don't care if it's 5 minutes later or 2 hours later, I'm worthless for the rest of the day. I just can't. The batteries are not recharged.
Yeah, I'm an angry napper. So so apparently I just realized this about myself. Apparently when my phone rings or something, because I never turn it off for anxiety reasons. And so if my phone rings and I look at it and I'm like, I don't even look at it now because everybody's got their own ringtone. So I know who's calling me. And I'm just like, no. I'm sleeping. But then I'm like, maybe I should answer because I don't know what this person wants. And then I'm like, so now I'm thinking, if I sit here and think about what did this person want, especially if they didn't leave a voicemail, then it's just going to interrupt my nap anyway. So I might as well answer. And then I end up answering.
I ran into something today. I stumbled upon it. And it's very cool for anybody who is frustrated by robocallers.
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. But go ahead.
It's a news service called nomorobo.com.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you know that one?
Yep, I do.
Very impressive. I was reading about what they do and so forth. It's cheap as can be. Mm-hmm. And you hook up to their service, and basically what they're doing is they're using crowd data to block robocallers. Mm-hmm. Which is, I don't know what took everybody else so long to figure out doing that, but somebody did it.
Yeah.
You know? So if you just want to stop the robocallers in their tracks, sign up for the service. If you have a landline, it's free. The only thing they charge for is mobile phones, which makes sense because that's what everybody has these days.
Yeah, yeah.
But even with the mobile phone, it's $1.50 a month. I mean, we're not even talking the cost of a cup of coffee here. I
mean, really?
So it's a bargain. And if you're inundated with robocalls, you can stop them in their tracks now. How cool. In fact, you know how I found it? Because I did get a robocall. I got it on my business line, and I wanted to see if it really was a robocall. I'll often do a little look on Google to see has anybody else
reported it. Yeah.
Their number, and ended up on the Nomo Robo website. Mm-hmm. And yes, they had detected the same number today, 2 minutes before I had gotten the call.
Wow.
I mean, really quick. So
that's crazy.
I mean, I have to conclude they would have blocked it.
Right.
If I was a member of the service. I thought, dang, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's really good.
Is this the same service that no, I don't think it is the same service, but there is a service that you can sign up for that actually robocalls the robocallers.
No. This one doesn't do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's for revenge people.
Yes.
Let's go after the robocallers and make their lives miserable.
Yes.
And I have to admit, I've played that game occasionally. Although the way I play the game a little differently from that. Mm-hmm. It depends on whether I'm in the mood to play the game. But if I'm in that mood, if I'm in that place where I feel like just messing with their heads a little bit, I'll accept the robocall.
Yeah.
And
let's go with it.
Let them do their spiel, and then I'll mess with their heads while they're doing it.
Right.
So if I don't know if they're calling me about getting my website placed ranked number 1 on Google, I'll tell them, well, my website's everywhere number 1 on Google.
Oh my God.
In fact, my website is ranked ahead of your website.
Oh.
Just play with them.
I just let them sit there and think they're getting this deal all the way up until they're like, okay, now what's your credit card number? Okay, it's 57 click.
Preceded immediately by block.
Right, exactly. Block and report.
And report, yes. Yeah, that's if you're in a really nasty way. You just got to be ready for the fact that when you do that, something else is going to be sent your way by the universe because of that place you're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
We really don't get away with anything.
We don't. We don't.
That's just part of being a conscious creator, is recognizing that fact.
Yeah.
So I guess my first answer to the question, how do we attract it? Well, we attract it just the way we talked about.
Yeah, just by being negative, being in a non-preferable space.
Non-preferable and preferring to be in a non-preferable state.
Preferring to be in a non-preferable space. Yes.
Yeah. And then going through the actions of demonstrating to the object of our negative attention just how negatively we were responding to them, so that we can get more negative stuff coming to us. So it's like, that's how we do it.
What was I going to use it as an example? That person who left a comment the other day.
Which comment?
The comment about my hair.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
See this, and I take those type of negative things, and I'm like, all right, I'm going to allow it 2.5 minutes, and that's it. And then your moment's over. Your
people
moment
are wondering what it's all about. Somebody had left a comment after one of the episodes on YouTube, claiming that she was that Alyx is immature or something for having purple hair on the podcast.
Having purple hair on an adult is inappropriate.
Is that what it was? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. And so
I've never gotten a negative comment about my hair since I've been on this podcast. So I was like, what?
Yeah. Well, that was another person who was in a space that
space.
Just wanted to go out there and start a little bit of a fight.
Yep.
And you can actually take it to the bank. She got something else coming her way, probably both before and after she did that. Because energy entrains unto itself.
Sure does. Sure does.
So
I mean, she's lucky that I had a lot of patience that day, because if I was not in the mood, I would have found her. And I'm very petty. I can be petty. It would have been a problem.
You like attracting stuff to you, don't you?
I'm attracting it anyway. I might as well have some fun.
Oh, that's funny.
I'm not saying any physical harm would have come to her, but, I can be petty and dramatic. I'm just saying.
Well, okay, we're doing dramatic theater, so I guess that makes sense that you would be dramatic, right?
Yes.
One goes with the other. That's fine.
Yes, that's true.
What it's done for me, though, is the recognition of how we attract all this stuff. Yes, I make a joke about it. Yes, I say, I can't get away with anything anymore. But I actually like the fact that I now understand that, because it has given me, I guess you'd say, the confidence and the perspective to understand that even this stuff that I don't like is going to keep coming to me if I focus on it. So, okay, I'm kind of empowering myself to say, you know what, I don't really care about that.
Yeah.
And that's a great thing for me, because I mean, I used to get stuck on that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Well, when you dwell, that's just making it worse.
Oh, absolutely.
Because now you're talking about it, so the universe is about to be about it. So
absolutely, yeah,
it's causing problems.
It really does. And you wouldn't know it from the time that you and I have been doing the show together, but I can be really, really bulldogish about that kind of thing. I used to be bulldogish all the time. I mean, I'd like to think that I have kind of weaned myself off of that, and I think to a large extent that I have. But boy, there was a time where somebody would get on my wrong side about something, and I couldn't let go of it all day, and probably next week.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
Once I learned, and once I realized that all I was doing was bringing more stuff on myself.
Yeah.
Then that's how I empowered myself to let go. I mean, you said, how do we get rid of it? That's how I did it. I finally realized I was just bringing more of it to myself, and so that was enough incentive to say, okay, I'm done. I won't do that anymore. And sometimes I do, but I do it for less time. I'll shorten up the time frame.
Yeah.
And I don't get as passionate about it anymore.
Right.
Because that's the other thing. When you aren't motivated to really go after it like that anymore, the passion goes away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the more you emphasize, the worse you can make it.
The more passion you get about it.
Yeah.
But the more that you cut yourself some slack and say, you know what, it's really not worth it, the less interesting it becomes, and the less often it happens.
Facts.
I mean, I don't get that anymore. I used to get that kind of thing routinely, many times in a day. Now, maybe once a week,
Mm-hmm.
you know? Mm-hmm. So it actually does pay off. So how do we attract it? How do we get rid of it? We attract it by focusing on it, even though we don't really like it. And how do we get rid of it? By no longer focusing on it.
Yeah. You just got to cut it out of your life and keep it moving.
It's like the old dad joke. Doctor, it hurts whenever I raise my arm like this. And the doctor says, well, don't raise your arm like this.
Oh, God.
I always tried to find that doctor because I figured that was a smart doctor, you know?
That was a smart doctor. Yes. Yes.
But somehow I can't seem to find that one. But I know he's out there somewhere because he had a joke made about him.
Well, it was probably too many people eating apples, and now we can't find him.
Jeffrey, of course, is posting up a storm here. I gotta read some of this stuff. He says,
all right, scroll back and then fill me in. What's happening?
Okay. So he says, cranky, being asocial, bored, call a friend, gloomy, let someone like a pet lift you up. Also, what? You haven't won free trips and hotel stays? Ooh, I could read their judgments and reverse psychology for that stuff.
I do that all the time. I'm like, well, yes, I could use a free hotel stay.
I did that one time.
Yeah. I was like, in Hawaii? I only have to pay for my flight?
Yeah, that's right.
Shut up. Tell me more. Tell me more.
One of them was one where you had to go to a meeting. You had to go to some sort of presentation.
Yep.
We actually went to one.
Yeah.
We went to one of those presentations, and it was the most amateurish presentation I've ever seen.
It always is. It's by these really 19-year-old kids. They needed a job, and they need the commission, so you better buy this hotel share.
And the other funny thing is, you go in the door and you can tell, the room has been rented for the day, and it wasn't cleaned recently,
Yeah.
But the kids are trying to be, on their super positive side. Oh, they're so welcoming and so glad you came. And then you get the presentation and they get to the closing statement. You say you're not interested, and bam, you're out that door fast.
Yeah.
It's incredible how quick it happens.
I was like, but we could, no. My friend actually found a way for us to use our service dogs to get out of there faster. So apparently we go in, we listen to about 5 minutes of it, and then we're like, no, we're not interested. Oh, you know what? My service dog's not feeling well. I really have to go. So
the service dog excuse.
Service dog excuse. Because when you say the service dog says, I'm not feeling well, they're like, what? But it's a whole thing. You don't get it. So it's just the service dog isn't feeling well. I don't want to make a mess in here. We gotta go.
Which of course is a relative thing because the place was a mess anyway. But
I mean,
would anybody really be able to tell the difference?
That's sad. Oh my God. And it's like, why aren't we having this meeting at your hotel that you're trying to sell me to?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, I always wondered, where's the money coming from to pay for all this? And of course, I knew the answer, but where's the money coming from to pay for this long, expensive trip if you can't rent a nicer room?
Right. Well, they got to cut back where they can.
The other thing I wondered is, who falls for that?
My sister did.
Did she really?
Yeah.
So she was actually in that room, got the presentation, and signed up for it?
Her and her husband have a timeshare in Florida that has never been used.
Wow.
Yeah.
How much does it cost them?
A lot of money. It's ridiculous.
Oh my God.
I'm like, why aren't we using it? Like, hello.
Have they used it?
Probably once, maybe, I think. But it's been a good, now they're divorced now, so it's like.
So it was the $20,000 overnight stay.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense.
I know. Yeah, that adds up.
Yeah, right. Good investment there, guys.
Yeah, seriously. Oh my God.
So there are people who actually fall for that. Wow. Well, There must be, otherwise they wouldn't keep going.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's got to be somebody who falls for it.
Mm-hmm.
And well, it raises an interesting question.
Mm-hmm.
What were those people, like your sister, what were they focusing on that made them, first of all, attract it, and second of all, decide to keep going with it? I mean, the questions you raised were how do we attract it and how do we get rid of it? But the question I raised is why do we go after it in the first place?
Well, that's kind of part of the first question. But yeah, why are we going after it in the first place? I think it just sounded so good at the time. And her husband was like, oh, we can afford this. Yeah, but when are you going to use it? When do you have the time?
Mm-hmm.
When do you have the extra money to do the other things besides not pay for the hotel?
Yeah, right.
You know, you still got to get there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You still got to do activities, because I believe it was like a Disney one of those Disney shares, actually.
Really?
And
okay.
We have not been to Disney since like we were kids. So
wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
But every year we're like, yeah, we're going to Disney this year. Everybody save up your money.
Never happens.
Never happens.
Well, my brother lives near Disney and he hasn't even gone there. So.
Well, that's a proximity issue. You know, it's like when you have a pool in your backyard, you never use it, but your friends are like, can we come over and use your pool?
That's actually one of the issues when our gardeners from the gardening service go to work at somebody's house, because the company rule that we set is you can't go use their swimming pool even if they offer it, because we don't want to deal with liability issues and so.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But it's a real temptation because the water's right there. It's a hot day.
Oh yeah, man.
They've been sweating in the gardens, and there's that nice cool water over there. It's an unfair tease, really.
It really is. Like if you could just dip your feet in. Oh, geez.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you guys are mean bosses.
Yeah. The thing is, though, when you're in charge of the company and it's a small company, you think about liability issues.
That's why I never wanted to own my own salon, just by liability alone. I was like, no.
It's big. No. It's a big deal.
It's a lot. It's a lot. When you have all these other people under you in charge of not burning people, not cutting ears off, you know, it's a lot. I was like, no, I'm not responsible enough for all that. So I was like, nope.
And we have a perfect track record in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've had like 2 or 3 injuries all the time that we've been doing the business. And were any of them actually work related? One of them was. Mm-hmm. One was work related.
Mm-hmm.
The customer's heat pump unit outside the house gave an electric shock to our worker.
Ooh.
Yeah. But even then, it didn't. We didn't have to outlay any money for hospitalization or something like that. It wasn't that kind of situation. But as a result, we have an extremely good safety record.
Right.
A record that most companies can't match. But because we are grouped in with landscapers who, wield all kinds of power equipment with very low skill levels.
Oh, boy.
Literally, Angela is one of our people. She's now working as a sales rep for us, but she's been in the gardens for quite some time now.
Mm-hmm.
She and I went to do a consult with a customer nearby. Mm-hmm. And while we were there, a landscaping crew came in to do some landscaping work there.
Oh, boy.
And one of the guys had a weed whacker and literally used it to cut through the irrigation pipe in the lawn.
Oh, my Lanta.
And that happens a lot. Landscapers are well known for hiring people at really low wages with no skills and handing them power tools, and then they get themselves in trouble. Well, we're grouped in with them. So even though we have a tremendous track record of safety, we can't afford to buy the liability insurance. Because the liability insurance, it's based on the way they quote general liability insurance is based on how much you're paying your employees.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have a fair number of employees compared to some of the small landscaping outfits in the area.
Uh-huh.
So at our payroll level, we would have to pay premiums of between $5,000 and $10,000 a year for liability insurance.
Goodness.
I mean, you can't justify it unless you're sloppy with equipment like these guys are. We don't even use power equipment. I think the only time we ever use a power tool of any kind is an electric hedge trimmer. I mean, that's it. The rest of it's all hand tools.
Wow.
So unless somebody goes crazy with a hedge trimmer, it's just you're not going to have.
I mean, that's just them being cranky that day. I don't know.
That's right. So I guess what I'm saying is this is how we try to put out there. We're going to stay in a safe, positive range, and we get positive results.
Yep.
Whereas the landscapers out there, they'll just throw caution to the wind, and then they'll let the insurance company pay for it. Which ultimately means getting us to pay for it for paying the liability insurance. So we actually had liability insurance. We dropped it.
That makes sense to me.
Because it just wasn't worth it.
If you haven't had an incident in over 100 days, that works for me.
100 days? How about 19 years?
Yeah, see? That's what I'm saying. It's a waste of insurance.
It is. It's crazy. And we actually had one client in all that time. We still have them so far anyway. We'll see what happens. One client who asked us to show them the certificate of insurance on liability insurance. And at the time that they came in as a client, we did have that certificate. So we gave it to them. But last year we canceled it. And we told them, look, we canceled the insurance. And they were all disappointed about it because their community association required bringing people in who had insurance. We said, you know, if that means we lose the account, we lose the account. But frankly, we make about $1,000 a year off you guys. The insurance costs us $5,000 to $10,000. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
And when we said that to the client, you know what she said? What? Oh my God.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
like you don't realize what you're asking people to do.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So they have a choice now. They get to decide whether they will stick with a company that doesn't have general liability insurance but does have a great track record, or will they go back to a landscaper that charges them less, and
it's probably going to lose a finger on the job.
Quite possibly, yeah. Or at least landscape irrigation cut pipe, one or the other.
Something.
Yeah. So you have a choice, and that I think really comes back to the topic.
It does.
How do we track it? How do we get rid of it? And why are we even focusing on the first place? Well, we're focusing on it in the first place because, you know, we, in the hypothetical, are a landscaping company that doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
Which leads to how do we track it? Well, because we're a landscaping company that doesn't give a crap.
Oh, my God.
How often do we as human beings do that? I mean, we're describing a business situation, but that kind of thing also happens personally. Every element of our lives has something like that going on. But we're focusing our attention and even adopting attitudes and adopting patterns of speech and stories that we're telling and so forth that are all about things that we don't like and don't want and don't prefer. And we do it every single day and we don't notice it.
No, we don't. I got to catch myself sometimes. And
it's like,
you don't want to do that, Alex.
Don't go there.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it's remembering what you can do instead. That's
the other issue I have. I'm just like, but now what?
Yeah. Well, that's why the teachings of Abraham are so useful because they teach pivoting. Pivot your attention away from what you don't like to what you do like. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And it's a conscious thing to do. It takes awareness. It takes a little bit of self-discipline. And I find that really is helpful to have a kind of a pre-existing worked out list of options.
Yes.
Like you get into that place where you're not feeling good, have your list of options handy because, you know, 8 times out of 10, maybe you can't remember what's on the list. So you look at the list.
I just automatically default to twerking in the kitchen.
Okay. Well, if that works for you.
That's where my Alexa is. So that's where my songs are.
Okay. Well,
or sometimes in the shower, I have a shower shuffle, and
shower shuffle.
Yeah, that's what I call my playlist that I like to dance in the shower, and sometimes I like to sing in the shower. So there's a mixture of it's two, ballads and bomb beats.
So you're using music and dance as a way to shift your attention away from what you don't like, and that's good. That's a good plan.
But then I also have certain playlists that cater to my negative attitude, though.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can claim that.
Like, if I happen to get ghosted, then I have the breakup album. I think I called it.
The breakup album. Okay.
The breakup album. And I just sit there and listen. I'm not saying they're sad songs. They're more like women empowerment, like you don't need him type of songs. So, yeah.
So kind of like a way to remind yourself that you're in control.
I am my own soulmate.
Well, more than that, you're also in control of your response to that breakup or to anything else that happens that you don't really like.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. That's good. See, you do have your alternative list. It may be a short
Yeah,
list, but you
yeah,
got at least two or three things on that list. You only need at least one.
yeah.
I like to have multiples just because I like to kind of, vary it a bit. I don't like to go to the same option every single time.
I'm trying to think if I do anything else. Well, I do obviously TV.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, oh, I'm feeling cranky. I'm gonna go watch my stories. I'll be
Ah,
back.
they still
But
call that? That's what they used to call soap operas.
yeah, no, that's just what I call them because I feel like being an old lady who's curled up in her little blanket with sipping her soup, watching her stories. My little babushka watching my stories, So that's just what I call it. My friends laugh at me and they're like, "Really, your stories? I don't think catfish is a story." I was like, "But isn't it though?"
But it should be.
Thank you.
It should be.
P- P.S. They have a spinoff and it's called Ghosted, and I was like,
Ah.
I feel like they're talking to me. I feel like I need to sign up for this show, but then on the second hand, I'm like, I don't want all my business out there, so I'm not gonna.
That's really good targeting, though.
It is. It is.
Very
Yeah.
effective. Yeah.
Yeah.
See, we could learn a thing or two about targeting just by watching that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Very true.
Sure. Jeffrey's also, as usual, he's posting a storm up here, but he says, sometimes you have to face it and let it go.
Facts. I just did that today.
Tell us.
I told my friend the other day, I said, listen, I'm having a problem with one of my friends, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out what he brings to the table in our relationship.
Oh.
Other than the fact that he's been here for 25 years. But that's me and my loyalty to a fault issues. That has nothing to do with the fact that he's bringing anything to the table. So I sat there and I thought about it and I couldn't come up with it. So I called him and I said, listen, I'm sitting here because we had gotten into a fight the day before. So I hung up on him. And sometimes he needs to be grounded because he doesn't learn his lessons. So I put him on radio silence for like 2 days. So I called him and he's like, hey, gorgeous, what's up? And I said, I'm sitting here trying to figure out what you bring to the table in this relationship. He was like, what? I said, yeah. He's like, well, if you've been friends with me for 25 years and can't take a joke. I said, no, we're not putting this on me. No, you made an inappropriate comment at an inappropriate time and you need to take responsibility for it. The fact that you haven't yet, because he hadn't apologized in this amount of time. And long story short, he says, well, I have to take time to think about what I bring to the table in this relationship. And I haven't heard from him in like 4 days. So
apparently it's a stumper.
Gone.
Clip.
Gone. Because I sat there and realized, I was like, literally, he's only been my friend because, I mean, generally he's a good person, but he's negative most of the time, and it's like, and he puts me down a lot, and usually it's joking wise, but at the same time, like a lot of the time he doesn't know his timing, and I'm like, no, bro, no. So I'm tired of it, and I'm like, other than the fact that I've been friends with him for 25 years, like literally, what is the point? And I'm like, I couldn't find one, so I was like, let me get my scissors out, and now it's over.
It reminds me of Rosie O'Donnell when she was younger and played in A League of Their Own.
Yeah, love that movie.
Yeah. Now, of course, in real life, she's gay, but in the movie, she plays a ball player and she has a boyfriend at home.
Yep.
And she's asked about her boyfriend at home. And she says, well, he abuses me verbally and treats me bad. And she thinks about it for a minute, and then she takes his photo out, rips it up, and throws it out the bus window.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly how it went down.
Actually, I want to tell another story. This is actually drawn from the annals of Gardens by Louise gardening service.
Okay.
We have a customer who we just did some work on the property earlier the week. And this is somebody who we did work last year, and when we get there, he doesn't actually maintain his gardens throughout the year. So we come toward the end of the season, like we did now, to just do this massive rescue and cleanup, which isn't really terribly fun.
It's a waste of money.
It kind of is. It really is. I mean, you're not getting the benefit of the garden throughout the year, but you're paying a large bill for it.
Right.
It's kind of like time sharing.
Yes.
But, yeah. But anyway, we went and did the work, and I didn't even know what was going on there until one of our people gave me a little clue that all wasn't right in paradise.
Oh.
And I did a little research, and now we had just brought on one employee for the first time. She had just joined us, and 2 days into it, she quit. And it was a bit of a surprise because we thought she was going to do pretty well. She was really
Yeah.
enthusiastic and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we did make one mistake. When we bring somebody in, our usual policy is to only let them work for maybe 2 or 3 hours maximum, usually 2 hours for the first week each day.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you just go in and try to do 6 hours, it'll knock you on your butt. It's just
Right.
too much. I don't care what kind of condition you're in. You have to kind of slowly roll up to this.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it'll knock
Yeah.
you out. And we didn't do that. So
Mm-hmm.
that was a bad one on us.
Mm-hmm.
But I also found out that this guy has a bit of a reputation among the staff.
Oh Lord.
And
Did
it
you have
was
a Harvey Weinstein on your hands?
no, it wasn't that. No.
Okay. Okay.
No, it wasn't anything illegal.
Oh, okay.
It's just he wasn't a really good customer to work for. Nobody liked him.
Uh-huh.
And when I dug deeper, I found out, well, first of all, there were two of our employees who worked on the property last year who asked us, please don't send us back there this year.
Ooh.
So we didn't. There was a third one, the one we hired, who
Yeah.
quit 2 days into it.
Wow.
There were two others who ended up working through and finishing the job. And I talked to them and learned. One of them told me, she told me point blank point blank right out front to me, he's crazy.
Oh wow.
I said, well, what do you mean? And she
Yeah.
said, I mean, he's just crazy. And she started laying out all these things. I said, wow, he really is crazy. Really eccentric, highly eccentric stuff.
Yeah.
With a kind of a negative tang to it. It just did not sound good
Yeah,
at all.
because there is good eccentric and then bad eccentric.
No,
so.
this was unpleasant. This is just I really don't want to be a part of that kind of eccentric.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the other one, who's our guy, and one of the most level-headed and easy to get along with guys you will ever meet, and a hard worker. He's a great guy. We're glad to have him on the team.
Mm-hmm.
I learned through the grapevine. He didn't tell me this. I learned from the grapevine he was about ready to pop the customer in the mouth.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah.
When the quiet ones get upset, it's
there
time.
was something going on.
Yeah.
I had gone over there. Now, before I learned all this, I had gone over there to deliver some supplies or something, and I ended up in a quick conversation with the guy. And the guy, everything that came out of his mouth was negative.
Mm-hmm.
It was one thing, and it was always about vendors who let him down.
Mm-hmm.
Calls the electrician never shows up. He calls the plumber never shows up. I mean, it was just this long litany of how bad other service providers are. And oh, by the way, he was hinting that we're the same way.
Oh.
But he didn't actually say that. But he was hinting at it. And at the time, I didn't have enough info, so I kind of read him and I said, he's just pulling the wool over my eyes. So I literally waved my hand and said, oh yeah, right. And I turned to walk away, and he instantly said, I'm just yanking your chain.
Weirdo.
So I went back, finished the conversation, went home, and then learned this stuff.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well, I investigated further, got the whole picture, and I said, okay, I know what's going on. I understand. It's crazy, but I understand what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
Went over to collect the check from him because he owed us a nice sizable check.
Uh-huh.
And so I said, called him up, said, I want to come over and pick up the check. He says, yep, come on over. Great. I get over to his house, knock on the door, get a big smile and a welcome handshake and so forth. So glad to see you. Great. Okay. Well, here are the invoices. Oh, yeah. Great. He writes the check out for me, hands me the check. I put it in my pocket. Now, we'd actually messed up on two things. We have actually 2 hourly rates. One's for new customers and one's for our existing customers because they came in under an earlier hourly rate, and we've kept that. We don't believe in just jacking people up. You know, we think,
right.
Okay, they came in at that rate, we'll keep them at that rate. And he was in that category.
Mm-hmm.
When we do estimates, we do written estimates, but most often, like 95% of the time, it's for a new customer.
Right.
You know? So our estimation program is built with the new hourly rate built in.
Okay.
And we had to do an estimate for him, and Louise forgot that was built in with the higher rate. So it got calculated at the higher rate.
Mm-hmm.
And I even heard through the grapevine that he had complained about that. And his complaint was he was paying more and getting less work done.
Oh, come on, sir.
And the person who told me that he was crazy, his complaint about her was that she was one of the ones who was dragging her feet and moving in slow motion. He even demonstrated it for me.
Oh my God, stop.
And I knew it wasn't true.
Yeah, obviously.
Because all these people are really hard workers. I've had we have had so much positive feedback about these people that,
Right.
you hear something like that and you just instantly dismiss it because it's
Yeah.
not true.
Yeah.
It's not true.
He's trying to get a discount. That's all.
Pretty much that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But more than that, it was actually he had built up a perception in his own mind that wasn't true, but he had created in his own mind. He was literally consciously, or actually unconsciously, creating. So anyway, collect the check from him, and I apologize for the fact that we got the estimate wrong. I told him, no, we're not charging you at the 60. We charged you at the 50. We're charging you at the rate that you would originally come in. And so he says, oh, well, I was never upset about that. I said, okay, I'll just let that one slide.
What is happening?
Selective memory.
Okay. All right.
Because he and I had a good rapport going there. He didn't want to interrupt that good rapport,
Right.
So I apologize for that. And there was also something where we said one day we were going to send 3 people. We could only send 2, and we didn't call him to tell him, sorry, we can only send 2 today. So I apologize for not calling him and letting him know that we didn't send that 3rd person. It was for a good reason, but we should have let him know that we were only going to send 2 that day because we promised 3.
All right.
Because, that's good customer service. That's how you.
Yeah, it is.
So
I'm just saying, I personally wouldn't care as long as it's getting done. I don't care how many people are there.
Most people don't, but I knew it would be important to him. So that's the thing. Well, it's not a big on us kind of thing, but we want to try to keep people happy where we can.
Right.
So anyway, I said those 2 things, and I said, but there's one other thing I got to tell you.
Oh boy.
I said, you got to change your behavior pattern.
Tell him.
And he gave me this look, and I started explaining. Remember the girl who was here for those 2 days and that she didn't show up after that? He says, yeah. I said, she quit. She quit because of you. Oh my God. And there were 2 other employees who worked on the property last year. Yeah. They refused to work here. Oh my God. And he's starting to having this freak out.
Oh, please.
And then the last 2 who were here the last few days, they're asking us not to come back here anymore. There is no employee working for our company who's willing to work for you anymore.
Right.
He's practically having a fit. In fact, at one point he said to me, you can go back and tell them that you made me cry like a baby.
Wow.
But the reason I'm telling all of this story is to make a point, because the point was, I said to him after, and I hit him really hard. I hit him right between the eyes with this stuff. I've laid out a whole bunch of stuff and just really hit him with it. And I acknowledged that I hit him pretty hard. And I said, I'd be willing to bet no one's ever told you this before. Without even batting an eye, he says, nope, no one has ever said this to me before. I said, this is why you can't keep anybody. This is why you're having so much trouble with service people. This is why nobody will come back. This is why people aren't honoring their commitments with you. It's because of the way you're treating them.
Yeah.
I mean, literally one of the things he would do is he would, watch over the shoulder of the person doing the work and kibitz with them and give them, what happens if you do this? And he was micromanaging.
Oh, I hate people like that. I hate people like that.
And I said to him, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You can't do that.
Like, you hired us.
Yeah. You tell us what to do and you get out of the way.
Right.
You go back in the house. That's where your role is, to be in the house. Our role is to be in the garden.
Oh, my goodness.
And the message got through.
Well, that's good.
But it really just reinforced for me, people who get into these habitual negative patterns, because that's what he was in, don't realize it. They don't. And very often, unless somebody says something to them, they don't know it's happening. Literally, his reaction to me while he was like melting down over this was, I thought we were all having such a really great time.
Wow.
The perception was so completely different.
Read the room, dude.
He didn't know how to.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he said it himself. I've lived alone for 35 years. I don't know how to interact with other people. He said it himself.
I mean, dude, there's a reason you lived alone for 35 years.
Well, yeah, I wasn't going to go there. That's none of my business. My business is my business. So that's what I was saying.
Right.
But yeah, I think you're right. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But it just really, it's a great graphic illustration of what happens when you keep focusing on what you don't like over and over and over again. And not pay attention to the signals. Like you said, there were signals all along. You just ignored the signals.
Yeah, exactly.
It really just illustrates it beautifully. So why do we have so much negativity? That's one of the big reasons. Yeah, right there. We keep insisting on focusing on this stuff that we don't like. And we find ways to convince ourselves that it's actually stuff we like.
Yeah. It's like I was telling my friend the other, and I was telling my mother this morning. I was like, we were talking about how many red flags my father had, and
Mm-hmm.
she didn't realize. And I was like, yeah, Mom, you're colorblind. You saw pink. It's
You saw
okay.
pink.
You saw pink flags. You're like, I can fix it. It'll be fine. He'll
Oh
straighten
yeah.
himself out.
Oh
And
yeah.
there were red flags all along.
Well, there are a lot of people who go into personal relationships where they
Mm-hmm.
do go into it with the idea, well, I can fix this person.
Yes, yes. That's unfortunately that's my mother. She's a fixer upper, whether
It's
it's
a
a
lot of
house
people.
or a husband. She's a fixer upper.
A lot of people do that. A lot of people
Mm-hmm.
believe that.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, that we could go into the psychology of it, but ultimately, what it comes down to is they're putting fixing the relationship ahead of the relationship.
Yeah. They're like, I can't find my perfect mate, so I'm gonna make mine.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
that's not how it should be.
Well, it doesn't even work.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't at all.
At least with a house, you can fix it up and it actually comes out nice.
Hopefully.
Well, if you have any
if,
skill at all.
if you have enough money and you know what you're doing.
Yeah. Or even if
Yes.
you don't have enough money and do know what you're doing a lot, you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the point is, it's possible to come up with a nice result.
Right. Right.
There is absolutely no way to come up with a nice result when you're doing it with a human.
No. No.
Can't be done.
No, because the house isn't resisting. That's the
That's right.
difference.
Yes, this is true. The house isn't doing a whole lot of deliberate creating either.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And yet people will just keep focusing on that stuff. So, yeah. Anyway, I hope I didn't bore everybody with that story, but I thought it was good. I thought it just really illustrates it really nicely.
Yeah, it just showed, a different person's perception of their personality.
And of their circumstances.
Yeah, yeah.
And what's going on in their lives. I mean, literally, he had a completely different perception from what everybody else had.
And you never know, that could be one of our listeners.
Well, not anymore.
They're just realizing just now, like, oh, I haven't had a friend in 35 years.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Oh my goodness. Maybe that's me.
Well, I have to admit,
how you get out of it.
I did say to him, I'll bet you nobody ever said this to you before. Maybe this is us saying it to a listener who needs to hear it.
Mm-hmm, exactly. That's why I do the show.
That would be cool. That'd be great. So if we're speaking to you, hey, here's the good news. You can change your behavior.
Yeah.
You can change your thought process. You can think about it differently.
Think of us as the universe with a 2x4.
And not only do we have a 2x4, but we're kind enough to not put the spike in it.
Yeah, this time around.
Yeah, we don't need a spike.
We're going to tap you on the shoulder this time, but next time we're going to slap you. Yeah.
Well, no, I don't need to slap people. That's not it.
Mentally, not physically.
Hey, Jeffrey has a question. He says, hey, can we talk about ghosting? I don't understand this concept in relation to law of attraction because I've never ghosted anyone. And yet it happens all the time. Isn't it an LOA contradiction, he asks?
Jeffrey knows how to get me every time. Jeffrey's like, Alyx has been a little quiet. Let's light a little fire. All right, Jeffrey. So now what did he say? He's never ghosted, or he's been ghosted, or what was the...
He says, I have never ghosted anyone.
Well, that's a good thing. That is definitely a good thing. That's a good personality trait to have.
Right.
And I feel like it's more of the millennial generation and below that is doing it, because I feel like there's
it's just we didn't call it anything, but we've been doing it too.
Okay. Well, yeah.
we just didn't have, you guys came up with a term. That's what the real difference is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's just put it this way. I've been haunted many a time. And so ghosting is actually when you're talking to someone, friendship, relationship, however, and my dating app just popped up and said someone wants to meet me, ironically. Anyways,
no, I'm curious.
I never ghost. I always explain why I'm leaving.
Oh, good.
Yes.
That's good.
It was like, for the next one,
Pay forward.
And yeah, I pay it forward. And plus I wouldn't want it to happen to me, so I don't do it to other people. So, and that's key. That's key in life.
That really is.
Yeah. So ghosting is when you're talking to someone and personally in your life, and whether it be a relationship or friendship, they just disappear. No call, no text message, no email, nothing, no reason So you're just sitting here wondering, what did you do wrong to make this person disappear? And 9 times out of 10, it wasn't you. It's this person. They're probably afraid of confrontation and just didn't know how to tell you that they didn't want to be in your life anymore. And usually you're better off for it.
Absolutely.
Because they're not in your life, because they were obviously going to cause some sort of drama, or they're just here for contrast and you're learning how to deal with ghosting in general.
Good point.
That's what I decided.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with your perception. I think your perception is right on. That in fact, we end up on these unnecessary tracks of I'm going to get all worked up about the fact that that person didn't contact me, or I'm going to get all worked up about the fact that I'm afraid of contacting that person, and then we set ourselves up for more and more and more of it. So you're absolutely right. I mean, that's the thing that'll drive us nuts.
Yeah, it does drive you nuts.
And I don't get ghosted because I'm not actually. I think anybody's gotten ghosted outside of relationships. I mean, I'm in a relationship that's a very happy one, but business relationships.
Yep.
Happens all the time. That's
what I say. Any type of relationship. Yep.
That's right. And yet, I just don't care anymore.
Right.
I really don't care. And so it doesn't happen very often. It's in fact when it happens, it's like, whoa, what was I focused on that attracted that? Because it's so rare. I'm serious.
Now,
it's so rare. It's
me on the other hand, I'm just like, all right, whatever, on to the next. But at this point, the math just doesn't add up for me as far as, and I am taking a break from dating because it's become discouraging at this point. The numbers add up as long as I've been on these dating apps versus how many relationships have come from them versus how many people have catfished and or ghosted me. Mm-hmm. I'm a Libra. I like my scales even. So it's the scales are way off. And I don't like it. So I'm quitting for a while, taking a break.
That's a good thing to do. Because what you're really saying, I mean, I'm not trying to guilt or anything, but what you're really saying is I'm attracting this stuff. I don't know how I'm attracting it. And so I'm just going to walk away from this and get myself
just
back
drop the whole thing.
Get back into a better aligned position before I try to do anything anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's smart. That's a really wise thing to do. It got me a wife, so.
Hello.
It worked really well. I got out of my own way, and poof, there she was.
Exactly.
Yeah. Interesting thing too. I've also turned it into a business strategy. Like lately, I've been, I guess, searching is the best word. Searching for programmers to do some programming for the business.
Right.
And there have been cases where I could tell somebody wanted to ghost me, but he didn't. Or they didn't, I should say. And inevitably, that person would come back with a quote that was so ridiculous that they weren't going to be in the running anyway. Which is really interesting because it reinforces what you're saying. There was a good reason why they left.
Yeah.
So, but I've been seeing that directly. I do want to give one editorial statement that'll help me get something off my chest.
Okay.
This is something that I see fairly frequently among freelance programmers. And I see it most often from people who are from India or the subcontinent or from Eastern Europe. And it's a lowballing approach. In other words, you'll post a project, they'll come in with a low bid, they'll talk to you, and then they'll jack their final estimate up way up.
Yep.
And I've been calling people on that, saying, I don't do business with lowballers.
Yeah.
And I even have
tell me what it is.
Even one person told me, well, this is negotiation. And I said, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
Negotiation is where you come in with one price, I come in with a different price, and then we try to figure out where in the middle we're going to meet, if at all.
Right.
But what you're doing is you're coming in with one price, and then you're coming in with a much higher price later on. And the first price was to get my attention so you can come in with the second price. That's dishonest.
Yeah.
That's dishonest behavior. So if I run into somebody like that, that immediately disqualifies them. I don't care how good they are. I don't care even if I like their bid.
Yeah.
They're disqualified, because if I can't trust them to do the bidding process honestly, how can I possibly trust them to do the programming well and to tell me honestly what's going on? And when they say that, well, I need one more day, they really mean just one more day, not 5 months.
Right.
Or this thing is giving me a little trouble. I'll have it fixed, and they can't get it fixed. Or here's the final. I'm going to have the final package for you, and you're going to love it. When you get it, it doesn't even work properly. That's the kind of thing you get from people who are lowballers.
Right.
You know. So this is. I guess I'm talking to programmers, but really I'm talking to anybody who is entrepreneurial, who engages in lowball practices in order to get customers to talk to. Don't do it. Because all you're doing is attracting. Think about what a lowballer is doing. The lowballer is saying, I'm going to come in under my normal price in order to get you to pay my regular price. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
All you get are people who are looking at low prices. What you really want are people who are going to pay high prices. They're not going to be interested in a lowball.
No. Charge people what you're worth.
Charge what you're worth. Exactly. Yeah. And be honest up front about it.
Yeah.
Let the filtering process take care of itself by the fact that you put out an honest price. So there's my rant for the day. Now, boy, I feel so much better.
Well, I had 2 of mine, so I'm good.
Okay. Well, then this is rant day. You know. So before we go, want to make sure that those who are not subscribers become subscribers. Very easy. Go to loitoday.net. It'll walk you right through it. And I won't even give you the longer spiel. That's all you really need to do. Except we do want you to also subscribe on YouTube. So, you know, and I'll let you do that because I always screw up the YouTube. So
okay, so you go to YouTube and search LOA Today podcast videos, and you hit the subscribe button, and next to the subscribe button there's a little silver bell. You hit that bell and make sure you hit always, so you always be notified when we're live.
And it's just that simple. So thank you, Alex, and hopefully next Thursday or whenever it is, we'll have Joel joining us once again, and we can make the fabulous Thursday threesome. How's that for
I like that.
Yeah, that's good. Thursday threesome. So good stuff. Anyway, thank you, Jeffrey, for, as usual, giving us the wonderful feedback and input on the live stream.
Thanks, Jeffrey.
Podcast listeners as well. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.